Hey, welcome back. A couple of weeks since the last one, unfortunately, due to a serious case of man flu, but there we go. So, and on the last one I said it was going to be a short video, and it turned out it wasn't very short. So this time I'm not going to say anything. We're going to do a bit and see how we get on. There's not a great deal more that I can actually show you on this model. So I'm going to go through doing the rat lines, share to do those, and then it's just a continuation for the top masts and the main mast and the mizzen. It's all the same, so there's no point in making a film showing you how to do all that over and over again. There's a couple of questions, or one question that I got, so I'll answer that. But start with what we're going to sit and watch this go round and round and round till we get dizzy, or shall we get busy? I didn't mean for that to come out like that. Anyway, there it is at the moment, so let's get started. Right, so here we go. First thing, question. It was asked on Facebook, Fernando, I think, about this piece, the Butterflorio, where that goes. It is a bit vague, really. There's not a lot of instructions on it, but it sticks at the back of the transom. That's it there. And there's only one reference to it, which is, I think it's on this plan. Where are we? Yeah, it shows a little hole there, and then it shows it there, 182. So that's it. You just drill through, and you can see that the actual shaping of it. I'll show you. It's shaped there and just sanded off on the bottom so it fits flat on the deck. So you just push it through and glue it onto the deck and through the hole. I haven't put that eyelet on. I don't think there's any need for that. We can fasten the rigging direct to the pole. So that was that. And then, as I said, we would be on to doing the rat lines. And they are, drawings are starting to fall to pieces now. We put the shrouds on last time, and the rat lines are the lines that go between them, that they climb up. So I've got to put those on. So I'll just turn the printer off because it's chuntering away at me. The reason why it's on. What you need to do, first of all, is if you've got a printer and scanner, is you need to scan this, scan the whole thing, okay, which I have done. I'll show you here. So just scanned onto an A4 piece of paper, and because the plans are full size, then it's going to come out full size. I'll show you how to do that, because then you have to reverse it as well. So let's just have a look at that for a minute. Right, this is my screen share, so it's just showing what I did. So I've scanned them in onto the screen of the computer, and then what we need to do is make a copy. So we've got two, so we're just going to duplicate, make another copy, and then we need to flip one round the other way. So we've got one for port, one for starboard. So it's just flip horizontal. There we go. And then we need to save it. Save the copy. It says copy. You can change that if you want. I change it and put port so I know which is which. It's pretty obvious anyway, but I changed it anyway. And then just save both copies and print them off basically. It's not edit, it's file. There we go. And print. And then just print both copies off. And then we'll go back to the model. So once you've done those, and you've got one for each side, you've got one reversed, like this, port and starboard, you then need to cut them out. Like so. Here we go again, one I did earlier. So just cut it directly below the crow's nest, where it fits up to the crow's nest, and cut it more or less where it's going to land on the deck. This is a bit long at the moment. If we can see, bring this in. And then what you're going to do is you're going to clip that behind there, and that gives you your spacing for all your outlines. So we just need a couple of pegs or a clip, and I'll fix that where it needs to go. About just to give you the spacing, really. You don't have to go exactly by the ones on here, because you can see the railings there. Those are lined up. These are, the dead eyes are way down. So anyway, it's about there somewhere. We'll start with the first one just above the lashings. So I've got that. Just clip on like that. That's that. And then I have to try and work this. Bring the camera to the other side again, I think. The thread I'm using, or I'm going to use for this, is the thin, lighter coloured thread that's in with the kit. There's two of this colour, but the other one's just a bit too thick, or I think it is, so we'll use this. Let's try and get that where it wants to be. Okay, so take a length of thread. And what I do for these is I use a sewing needle. If the camera picks this up, it'd be a miracle. Anyway, there we go. Oh, it has, look. I'll thread it off camera. So there's two ways of doing this. One is to try and tie the knots like it shows in the instructions, which is this bit here. But what I find is when you do that, it pulls them, and you get all, some go up, some go down. It's supposed to pull them in straight, but it never does. So I'm going to do this my way, and all I do is simply thread the needle, tweezers to support the shrouds, find your line, your first line, which is going to be more or less just above that knot there, and then you actually pass the needle through the shroud like that, and then you can keep it in a line. You keep it nice and straight. Find the next one, and the next one. got some glue on there because I just glued the bottom knots. There we go. A bit higher, that one. And the last one. And then just pull the needle right through. And then you just ease the thread right the way through. Go down to the single layer. And then just get your spacings right. Just tease them out. And then your thread's dead straight. More or less. And then you just work your way up, and it is a lot quicker as well. And I think it looks better. I know on the real thing was supposed to be tied, but I think it looks a lot better myself. And then we just go back the other way. Find the next one, which is about that distance. Thread it through. Try and keep it as straight as possible. Whoops. Do a bit of a loop, which you'll cut off later. And tease them across. To me, they look a lot better. And then once you get up to the top, you just go over them with the watered down PVA and leave them to set, and then trim the ends off. So we'll just go again. And back to teasing it out again. You might find it easier to get so far up, and then glue it, let it set, then come back and start again. Because it saves them all pulling through all the time like this. that's not too bad. I'll glue those up. They don't take long to set. You only glue the ends really, but there we go. Leave that to set, come back and trim them off. So now I've got nearer the top, what we can do is change the clip. Put the clip lower down. There we are. That gives a better chance to work near the top now. And just support this now with your fingers. It'll go through very easy towards the top. They're all that much closer together. I'll put my microphone on so you can hear me. They're a lot closer together at the top. Just feed them through. I glued the bottom ones, but I didn't cut them off. So I'm not quite happy why that's gone white at the bottom there, but still, paint it in. So be careful you ignore these. There are the rigging lines off the plans, because the rat lines are a slightly different angle like that. Just not going to have enough thread. And then just keep working them a little bit to keep the width. As you can't even see on here. You can't see it very clearly, but that line there, that's a piece of metal. And the other rat lines come down from the crow's nest to join onto the shrouds here. They were fastened onto the shrouds with that metal bar. And then of course we've got the top to do as well. I'll finish this bit off. So that's it. That's that one done. Now we can take the guide off. See how it looks. Not too bad. I think it looks a lot better than actually tying knots. And we've got all the sides glued and all these trimmed off. It does look a lot better, which is the next thing. So I'll get them glued up and let it set and come back and trim them off. Right, so I've got this side done and all trimmed off, glued and trimmed up, and to my mind that looks as good as anything. And the overall effect when it's done, I don't know if you've seen the model of my victory, some of you have, that's the way I did it, and I think it looks okay. Also on this video I will try and get the backstays done. We haven't done those either. That's the I'm going to show you here. That's these from each mast. Quite simple really. And then after that we're on to putting the yards on and the sails. I'll just show you one of each and then like I say, I'm going to be getting the blue nose, and we'll start unboxing that, and some of you can follow on with that. It's a completely new company, you've never used them before, so we'll see what the model's like when it gets here. But I'll order that within the next couple of weeks. So I'll just finish off the other side here, putting the rat lines on, and then I'll come back and we'll do the backstays. Okay, that's that done and all trimmed off. That's both sides done now. It's looking good. Now we need to do the backstays, as I said, which are from here right the way down to here. Now, one thing I noticed, it's not on the plans at all, it doesn't show you anything, but you've got to have somewhere to fix them. So on the chain wheels here, we've got to put some little eyelets, which I've put in. You can see them in there. Just two little eyelets. One there, and there's just one inside there. And the way I did it was to just use a little hand drill, this little thing, and just got through there steadily, very carefully went through. And then some coloured, just the coloured eyes just put in, that were stained from before, blackened should I say. So they go in. So what we need to do is, looking at the plan again, we're doing the forestay, the foremast, and the backstay on the foremast, which is that one. They're both pretty similar anyway, they're both eyes. It says I and it says I. So you look at the box I, which is that one. So we're using a 201, which in the instructions is a single block, and they are very, very tiny. And that needs attaching to 196, which is the thicker thread, the same as you used for the shrouds. And then the bottom is done with the thinner thread and another single block. It's not numbered. I'm trying to keep it all in the picture. It's not numbered, but it's showing you a single block in the bottom there, which is fixed to that front rear eye, as it will be. Yeah, there. No, because it's the opposite way around to what I'm doing. So it's the forward eye. So the block's attached to the forward eye. That's going to be fun. Okay, let's have a go at that. So I've got one of the single blocks. I did have, it just fell out. And I've put it, these are so tiny, they really are. But don't forget the hole in the block needs to go to the end where the rope is. And then just make sure that's round to the top edge. Like that. Pull tight. There we go. I'm going to put some super glue on that just to hold it. Bear with me. Tiniest little bit with a needle. Just make sure it's nice and tightly pulled together like that. Right, that's not going anywhere now. There we go. So I just put a small whipping around that. And then that'll go up to the top. Okay, so I've now got it ready. So I've tied the small block onto the end of the thick reel. That's for the actual backstay itself. And then I have another one on a thin piece of thread. Tied that one just onto a short length. And through that I've threaded a slightly longer length, and the other end of that is tied around that block. So you've got a length tied around that block, threaded through another block that's tied onto a short length. And the reason for that is on the plan, it's the end one, this one, I've got to tie that block onto that aft eye, forward eye, which is well hidden in there. So all I've done is that I've attached it. That's the eye. That's the block that's attached to the line for the backstay. Attached to that is a thread that goes down and through that block, back up and ties to that eye. So all I've done is tied a thread to the bottom of that block to tie it to that eye, and I've tied that line to there and threaded it through that block. So all the threading is done, so that when I tie this small block onto this eye, I don't need to try threading it because it's already threaded. Let's do it and see what happens. So I think you can see there, just about. You can't see the eye because it's hidden in there. It's going to be a tweezer's job. Wherever I've put my tweezers, here right by my hand. Got to go in that way. Super glued the end as well, so. Don't want to go in, but it will. Tell you what, if I pull it through there, and then go through that way. That's got it. Right. So that needs tying. And he's tying really short in there. Not going to get much shorter than that. There we go. Right. And then a little drop of super glue in there. Last thing I want is that to pull off now. That's it. And cut that end off. That needs to go roughly about that length, so we need some length to go up to the top of the mast to be able to tie that off. Cut that. And then this is just going to get tied around the cross trees up here. And I made a note that it comes through the back there, through that back corner. On the plan it looks like it's there. You can see. It looks like it's there on the plan, but if you do that, it fouls the crow's nest. So I found, just put it into the back and then bring it down, it stays clear of it. So I'll just tie that off. That's going to need to go behind there. That's a good point. It needs to go behind the shrouds. Let's try that again. Right. Just tying it off at the top. Right, that's got it tied off at the top. So now this needs to go behind there as well. And then it needs threading through that block. Magnifying glasses on. Just wants pulling down tight. Not tight, taut, should we say. Could have been round the other way really, but it's going to fall that way, isn't it? Doesn't really matter. I don't think I'll twist that around now. And then that. Now it's twisted. I'll twist that bottom one later. But that then just wants fastening off there. I'll go around twice and it'll hold itself. If it'll go through twice. There we go. and then a couple of half hitches to hold it in. Not fiddly at all. That's it. And super glue. That's it. That's all it needs. So trim that off. And that's it. That's the first backstay in place. I'm going to twist that block around under there so it straightens that out. Doesn't really matter, but and that goes right away there. I've tied it off there, and you can see it just does clear. If I didn't, it's still touching. It's just touching the crow's nest, just to say touching it. But if you put it where it says, it wouldn't be bent over it, so it's better like that. Okay, that's it for this week. You can crack on with those. I'm not sure what we're going to do next week because it's going to take me at least a week to do the rest of these shrouds and rat lines and backstays before we can move on. We'll see how we go. If you've not subscribed, please do. The channel's coming on quite nicely now, and like I said, next one's the blue nose, which will be a very interesting one to build, fully scaled, with all the ribs showing on one side and planked on the other. So I'll be getting that soon. See you next week.